Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports for this weekend, the Miami Grand Prix, of course, taking place in America, our first American race of the season. Miami, of course, a very new circuit on the Grand Prix calendar, debuting last year in 2022. And it's hopefully building up towards what could be a very, very good weekend. Lots of news to talk about, lots of things to go through, and of course we do have expert analyst and commentator Reese, who's with us. Hello, Reese. How are you doing? Are you keen for this weekend?
I'm doing well, thanks to yourself, Mark. Yes, I'm extremely excited for this race weekend. A lot of upgrades that we didn't necessarily see the full potential of last weekend in Azerbaijan. Hopefully, being able to be honed in a bit this weekend. The likes of Red Bull, Mercedes, also with a big upgrade, Ferrari, McLaren, a lot of other teams further down the grid as well.
Yes, and we'll get through all of that today in our preview, of course, for the Miami Grand Prix weekend. So just some facts, just to go straight through it, into it. Of course, we are back in Miami, second race of the F1 history. And just some facts about the track. So, of course, the first time it was hosted was last year, and the number of laps that they will be racing is 57 laps. The race circuit is 5.4 kilometers long. The total race distance, therefore, will turn out to be 308 kilometers. And the current lap record, albeit they haven't had many opportunities to break it yet, is held by Max Verstappen last year with a 1 minute 31.361. That was his time last year. Can the new cars beat it? Of course, this year. Let's see if they've made enough upgrades to, of course, go and challenge that. So just a little bit of facts about the Miami Grand Prix, of course. Before last year's Miami Grand Prix, the sport had previously raced once in Florida, in Sebring, back in 1959. So not that any of you would have remembered any of that. But yes, when it moved on to the calendar for 2022, the Miami Grand Prix was licensed for 10 years. Meaning that after this year's race, there will be another 8 at minimum. So lots of races to go in Miami. So be sure to get used to the track because it's going to be around for a while. Miami is the 11th different location in the USA that has hosted a Formula One race. Crazy, isn't it? And then during the planning phase, there were reportedly 75 different track designs made for the Miami Grand Prix. That's quite a lot, I suppose there should have to be quite a lot. It's a very, very nitty-gritty sport. And lastly, I'll just go through it. And it says, when it was introduced to the calendar last year, Miami became the 77th different track used for a Formula One race. And actually not as many as I thought there would be. So just going into the schedule for the weekend so that we all understand exactly what is happening. We have got tomorrow, Friday, 5th of May, practice 1 and practice 2. These are all the times I'm going to be telling you in Eastern Standard Time, because that is the local time for the race. Practice 1 will be taking at 2:30 p.m. and practice 2 at 6 p.m. And for British Standard Time, for most of our other people, and that would be close to more of the African nations and otherwise, you're looking at 7:30 p.m. in the evening and 11 o'clock in the evening. That's British Standard Time. Saturday then comes May 6th, practice 3, 12:30 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time, and qualifying at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For British peoples, that's 5:30 and 9 p.m. respectively. And Sunday, the big race on May 7th, at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, otherwise 8:30 British Standard Time. And for those South Africans, that's 10:30. So, lots to look forward to. Reese?
Yes, just the article straight going into news for this race weekend. The FIA has announced that they will be shortening some of the DRS zones in Miami. So, as reported before the season, the first 5 races of 2023 would see changes to the DRS zones, either extensions or reductions, in order to better balance overtaking. In Miami, the first 2 of 3 DRS zones have had their activation points moved further up the road, meaning that the DRS will only be allowed to be open for a shorter amount than it would have been last year. The first DRS activation points at the flat-out turn to turn 11 has been pushed back from 30 meters after turn 9 to 105 meters after the corner, reducing the DRS zone by 75 meters. The second DRS zone on the back straight has also been shortened by 75 meters and now starts 525 meters after turn 16. So quite some significant changes to the DRS zones here. Do you think that will make a big change in overtaking here in Miami, Mark?
Well, I mean, it's funny, because if you guys want to know, we go and race. Of course, every time we come to a race weekend, we go and race the equivalent track inside the game, of course, with the team. And a whole lot of comments from everybody was just saying how long these DRS zones are. From last year, of course, we were playing last year's version of the track, and just saying that it's just stupidly long in terms of like it's so easy to overtake some people. So, and I think that is what we more or less saw last year, especially with those Red Bulls, with the DRSs, of course, being like some of the most powerful on the grid. They found it so easy to make use of DRS to get ahead of everybody last year, and shortening the DRS zone would, of course, result in Red Bull having a less opportunity, I suppose, in terms of it's a smaller space. I still think it's that they're going to do absolutely fine with it. But what it certainly does do is it does reduce the ability for the attacking car to overtake the defending car and gives a bit more favor in the defender. Of course, having a shorter DRS zone, it's less time for the DRS to be open. Car in front can, of course, defend a bit better. And that's what we do want to see. We want to see some genuine defense, see cars right on tails for longer. So hopefully that results in better racing this weekend.
Yes, for sure. Certainly looking very much forward to that. Going now on to Red Bull, Mark.
Yes, indeed. As I said, big news, of course, this, and I'm just going to pull across the news studio here. Red Bull have, of course, and the resource alerted me to this immediately, but they have going to try and curb the curse of a special livery for this weekend. It's a really, really, really cool livery, and I would love to just try and get it to come across, but for some reason I can't get the image up. But nonetheless, we will get the image up as soon as I can. But it's a very, very cool car. So basically what's happening is they've pinstriped it with a purple, a red, and like a very light blue going across the whole car from left to right. And of course on
it's very Miami, of
course, and
all
those bright colors of the Miami scenes. So it is very, very cool. And I can't wait to see it now.
Yes, very, very exciting to see that Red Bull is allowing fans to design the livery for their cars for 3 of the races this season. All of the American circuits are being, their cars are all being designed by a fan for each of the American circuits.
That's that. I'll just read through it. Sorry, I was just trying to get my image up, and I've got it now. So let's say, so they're going to do 3 fan-penned designs across the whole campaign. So it's going to be in Miami, Austin, and Las Vegas. All of them, the American races. So that's also quite interesting to note. They've made a special thing for all of the American races, not any of the other circuits. So that's quite interesting. I think it's maybe because... Here's a theory. Do you think it's because they think America is not quite traditional at Formula One? So when they do these little special things that have not been a thing of the past, they're going, well, you know what? We're going to stay away from doing it like Monaco, for example, or otherwise, we keep it traditional there. You keep your normal livery, and we go to America. Well, they're new. They don't care. So let's just go and put the fun stuff there.
Well, I think it's also a very good marketing tactic. I mean, we've seen how Formula One as a brand has been trying to attract the American market more and more. I think this is Red Bull's way of doing it as well. Of course, Red Bull signing with Ford for 2026. They're just getting more and more involved with the American market, possibly.
Yeah, and just continuing on here. So the judging panel for the cars, the different liveries, of course, was headed up by the Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, and included representatives from the team's title partner Oracle, principal team partner Bybit, and technology partner Mobile One. And Horner had to go and say this. He says, to give our fans the opportunity to influence our design at the 3 USA races is something you just don't see other teams doing, said Horner. It is important to the team to be able to involve our fans in what we do and give them unique opportunities like this. I think Martina has done a great job, and the livery looks incredible when you see it in real life. The design keeps the ethos of who we are, but introduces Miami to the Red Bull 19 as well, the RB19. We are definitely going to stand out when you see that car on track. I'm intrigued to see what people come up with for Austin, and of course Las Vegas. That promises to be really exciting. So yeah, very, very cool. But as I said when I started this whole thing, there is normally a curse when it comes to special liveries for race weekends.
Well, you say that, but I mean, it hasn't necessarily been a curse for all of the teams. I mean, it's certainly been a curse for Mercedes when they ran that heritage livery in Germany. that did not go well.
No, it was a
But
shocking day out
Red
for them.
Bull, Red Bull ran their Honda tribute livery, and they won that race. So I mean, maybe it's not a curse for Red Bull.
Yeah, I just think that the only problem is that you look at the recent liveries, especially last season, at least, not turning out fantastically for everybody. Ferrari, of course, running that special livery that one time with the yellow, with the more yellowified car, I suppose. Both cars didn't end
Yes,
up
the
on the
75th
podium.
anniversary
Yeah,
car.
and it was not a great day out for them either. So normally when teams do this sort of thing, it's sometimes for some reason some interesting things start to creep in. So whether or not we're going to see that this weekend remains to be unseen. But hopefully nothing goes too far wrong. But it is a very, very cool design. I just want to touch on it just before we move on. It's a really, really cool design. So fair play to who is it that did it again? Sorry, I just completely forgot.
Martina, I think it
yes,
was.
Martina.
Yes.
So well played, well played. That was it's a very cool design.
Yes, going further on from that, just looking at some of the upgrades that we have going into this weekend, we've had a lot of teams working on their floors, specifically the likes of McLaren, Red Bull, Alpine, who else? Mercedes, I'm sure, will also have some tweaks coming for this race weekend. They obviously did not get so much time last weekend in Azerbaijan to test these floors because of the sprint format for the race, for the weekend. So they will certainly be wanting to test them out properly in Miami. That is for sure.
Yeah, as I said, I thought I was quite good there with my show credentials. There's, as you said, McLaren. Boom! There's my McLaren car appearing on screen. I thought that was quite good. So appreciate Nate for that. I think we'll just go through and read this a little bit. And it goes, it says in McLaren's case, the altercations being made might at first appear to be isolated to the floor edge and edge wing, but definition and contour changes have been made to the entire surface of the floor. This includes the height of the forward floor blister, the red arrow otherwise, which will have a direct influence over the shape of the tunnel and strakes beneath. Reese, do you want to carry on? Otherwise, I can keep going.
I was waiting. I'll take over for LP.
I'll tell you. Okay, perfect. So it just says, meanwhile, the section of the floor, this is still from McLaren, meanwhile, the section of the floor that encloses the lower side impact spar has also been modified with a crescent-shaped blister shrink wrapped around the safety structure to tighten the floor's bodywork. At the rear of the floor, it's clear to see that the interface between the side pod and ramped kick-up has also been re-characterized in order to take advantage of the changes that have been made upstream. So all of these various things, basically, as a consequence, will allow the rear portion of the floor has been modified to make better use of the new flow structures generated ahead of it. So hopefully, better airflow throughout the entire car. That is the hope.
Yes, and moving on to Alpine, the changes that they have made have not been as extensive as McLaren, but are also just as rewarding from a performance standpoint, given that there are optimizations of their design of their car already. The midway flap that's created by two cutouts on either side of the floor has now got a leading edge curl facing down towards the ground rather than away from it, whilst the surface geometry of the flap has also been adjusted besides. Thereafter, the floor has been contoured slightly differently in order to take advantage of the alterations ahead, and further modify the floor structures received by the floor cutout. Also, just some more changes made to their floor to optimize airflow around that skirt and just create a better suction underneath the car as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Red Bull also deployed a new floor in Azerbaijan, of course, as modified design in order to take advantage of revisions made to the RB19's side pod. So you're going to see lots of new floors this weekend, and lots of upgrades on various cars, which will be very interesting to go and look at, because I think we might finally see a bit more of a packed. And I know we say this every week, but I genuinely do feel this weekend, I think we're going to see some changes with regards to at least the midfield. I think you're going to see McLaren improve dramatically, and I think we're going to see Aston Martin and Ferrari, Mercedes, they're going to battle it out a lot more, I feel, this weekend. I still think Red Bull will be quite clear on top. But the challenges after that, I think, will be certainly making a bit more of a statement.
Well, we'll have to hope that Red Bull also don't make too much of a step forward this race weekend. Obviously, a lot of talk still going on that they haven't optimized last week's floor. So will that come into play this race weekend? We'll see. Maybe it was a high speed floor for them for higher speed tracks. We'll have to see. But yes, hopefully we will get some closer racing this weekend.
Yeah. And moving swiftly on to just a little bit of news just going into the weekend, not necessarily regarding Miami, but Leclerc is on Mercedes' F1 radar for the long term, but not now, says Wolff. So that's very interesting in itself. The Mercedes boss Toto Wolff says Charles Leclerc is definitely a long-term option for his Formula One team, but has ruled out any imminent move for the Ferrari ace. Speculation emerged in recent weeks that Leclerc was in talks with Mercedes as it pounded as a possible replacement if Lewis Hamilton does not stay into next year. But Leclerc himself denied there's been any contact with Mercedes or its boss Wolff, although he intriguingly added the word yet at the end of his sentence. Speaking at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Wolff himself also rubbished suggestions that dialogue had opened between the team and the Monegasque driver. However, he said it would be foolish of the squad to ignore Leclerc as an option for the longer term. Wolff goes on to say, Charles is a super guy and for the long-term future, someone you need to always have on your radar. And that's clear, but not for the short and the medium term. Wolff explained that the only time he had personally spoken to Leclerc recently was when he bumped into each other at the Melbourne airport on their return from the Australian Grand Prix. Leclerc's current deal at Ferrari runs until the end of the 2024 season. The current Mercedes driver, Lewis Hamilton, is out of contract at the end of this year. So, yeah.
A lot of speculation going on, obviously, whenever someone's contract comes to an end, especially a 7-time world champion like Lewis Hamilton, there's always going to be a lot of speculation, a lot of talk. Maybe he'll get another 1-year extension, maybe a 2-year extension. We'll have to see from there, but I don't think we'll be losing Lewis Hamilton all too soon.
Also, I think the problem, or at least the issue, not necessarily a problem, is the fact that Hamilton and Wolff have got a very, very good relationship. The Mercedes team and Hamilton have worked together for many years now. You know, it's like Mercedes Hamilton is in one word. That is just that's how we know it.
At this stage, Lewis Hamilton is as much of a figure in Formula One as Valentino Rossi is in MotoGP. It's like Michael Schumacher. It's synonymous with the name Formula One.
Exactly, but I think it's also when you look at the team, you know, it's difficult for Mercedes to go and say, well, you know what, Lewis, you're getting on in years. You're not necessarily as good a driver as you used to be. We need to move on to the next best thing, which maybe they see as Charles Leclerc. He would be a very good replacement, of course. I mean, Charles Leclerc, definitely one of the top drivers on the grid. You see it in that Ferrari. You know, Carlos Sainz got that same Ferrari, yet Charles Leclerc seems to always manage to get a bit more out of the car than Carlos Sainz. And
I mean, we see that most in qualifying, where he outperforms sometimes the Red Bulls in a Ferrari that shouldn't be there.
Exactly, as I say. So Leclerc's driving credentials are certainly there to say that any top team would have him. Red Bull would happily have him, I'm sure, if they were given the opportunity at any point. Imagine a Leclerc-Verstappen partnership. That would just be absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know. I would not want to be Christian Horner.
No.
You were leading that team. Gosh.
No, not at all. But as I say, so when Mercedes do need to replace a driver, Leclerc is certainly up there as the ultimate choice in terms of best driver on the grid. You look at Max Verstappen. After that, who's your best driver? I would probably say Charles Leclerc at the moment. Not necessarily saying Lewis Hamilton's not there. Just saying that in terms of future proof, Charles Leclerc is certainly there. And Lando Norris maybe as well. George Russell in with a shout, but he's already at Mercedes. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if when Lewis Hamilton does leave, whether it's next year, the following, or the following after that Charles Leclerc is the one sought out by Mercedes.
I mean, it would be a very, very interesting partnership, Charles Leclerc and George Russell. Both, I think, very big, prominent figures, but I think they would make a good team. George has shown that he's a very good team player, as well as Charles has also shown he's a good team player. I don't know if Charles and Max drive a team up would work, because they both would just clash too much.
Yeah, I don't think that would work very well. But yes, so that's all speculation there from Toto Wolff and Charles Leclerc, or Charles Leclerc, however each person wants to say it. Everyone has a different thing. But yeah, and moving on to a little bit of just slightly separate information. Reese, you've got some news on F2.
I'm actually going to hijack that a little bit and put in some Formula One 23, the game, coming out very soon. Yes, we completely forgot about it when we were setting up the stream. But very, very exciting to have Formula One 23 coming soon. EA Sports Formula 1 23 has been unveiled with a slew of fan-requested features and the return of its Breaking Point story mode. Not only will we see the return of Breaking Point, the immersive story mode, including Aiden Jackson and Devin Butler, but the new game is also set to include new improvements on the physics and, importantly, the full roster of drivers, teams, and tracks for the 2023 Formula 1 season from day one. That is what we want to hear as fans, of course. As we hoped and expected, the full calendar for the 2023 edition of the Formula 1 schedule will be included with the new game. That will include the new venues, such as the new Las Vegas Strip street course in the US and Losail International Circuit in Qatar from launch.
So keen for racing Las Vegas. I reckon that's going to be the best track of the year. I do actually think, looking at that Las Vegas track, I think that is going to be the best race of the whole season. I cannot wait to race it. It's going to be so awesome.
Yes. It's really going to be such an amazing track, not just to play in the game, but to watch later in this year. Carrying on, the last Codemasters developed Formula 1 game to feature red flags, which is now being reintroduced in this game, triggered after a pileup was Formula 1 2014. They've been absent ever since, and dedicated Formula 1 fans will be happy that they are returning. It may create some havoc, though, in our Formula 1 streams, but we'll have to see about that. As well as handling has now been further improved in the Formula 1 games, making it more predictable, at least, as well as hopefully allowing it to be a bit more realistic, truer to the new cars in 2023. Also, some questions from fans asking if Podium Pass is getting revised for the F1 World. Podium Pass has been in the Formula 1 game since Formula 1 2020 and has remained largely the same since. It includes optional challenges across Grand Prix and time trial modes that dish out XP. That XP levels you up, and when you go from one level to the next, you unlock cosmetic items such as car liveries or drivers' outfits. In Formula 1 22, this also included furniture for F1 Live as well.
Yay.
The announcement makes no mention of Podium Pass, but F1 23 is set to include an F1 World Hub. It sounds oddly familiar, but offers some distinct differences from what Podium Pass used to be. Specifically, a new progress system and form of car upgrades will now be achievable. How it ends up being being monetized is yet to be confirmed, but we can say that Bitcoin, the virtual currency with Podium Pass, is returning.
Yeah, so very, very keen to see when I can go and get that game. I cannot wait to play.
Yes.
It's going to be very expensive, though. I don't have that money. But I'll tell you what,
Yes,
you guys can go and...
dates.
If more people watch the channel, more people subscribe to the channel and like the videos and etc, 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 maybe we can go and afford the game and we can play it all for you and fool around and make a complete fool of ourselves.
Yes. So the standard edition of EA Sports Formula 1 23 is set for release on PC via EA app, Epic Games, and Steam, as well as PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and all the rest on the 16th of June. The digital exclusive of EA Sports Formula 1 23 will be released on the 13th of June.
So pretty much almost my birthday. So give me a birthday present, people, please.
Is that a hint?
That's a hint, nudge, nudge. No, I'm joking. But yes, so the game, very, very keen to see that game. And then, as I say, to go and race around Las Vegas and some obviously improved circuits as they have changed a little bit for this season. And yeah, just moving on to a couple of last articles before we finish up the preview for the weekend. Do we want to go over Behrman, Reese?
Yes, I think it would be a very interesting article to read out. So just looking in Formula 2 at the moment, some talent hopefully coming into Formula 1 in the near future. Oliver Behrman, who is a Ferrari Driver Academy driver in Formula 2, has taken both feature race wins in 2023 so far in Formula 2. Red Bull junior team driver Enzo Fittipaldi secured his first podium of the year in Formula 2 ahead of ART Grand Prix and Sauber Academy driver Teo Pourchaire. Behrman, who held the lead from pole at lights out, as Pourchaire made quick work of Fittipaldi for P2, with Behrman obviously taking that race win. Behrman is looking very interesting to watch in the future. We could hopefully see him in Formula 1 very soon.
And as I say, we talked about Charles Leclerc earlier in regards to his potential moving to Mercedes in the next few years. Maybe Charles Leclerc does leave and the replacement is, in fact, Oliver Behrman. So that would be very interesting to go and follow as well.
It's looking like they may need to replace Carlos Sainz. So we'll have to keep an eye on who Ferrari have seats. That could come and fill those seats for them.
Do a driver swap, send Hamilton to Ferrari.
Well, there's been so many rumors about that as well. So,
dear, shocking. But yeah, lots of potential moves coming up. But very good to go and watch F2 as well, people. Really, really cool. You go and see basically the Formula One drivers of the future. And just to end off, quite an interesting little fun article here. Toto Wolff. He is going to go and teach an MBA course at the Harvard Business School. How cool is that? Mercedes Formula One team principal Toto Wolff has extended his relationship with the Harvard Business School by becoming an executive fellow and guest lecturer. The Austrian will teach a course for first and second year MBA students under the title Mercedes F1 Leading a High Performance Team. The course will take place in January 2024, taking advantage of a rare, relatively quiet period in Wolff's usual hectic schedule as boss of the Brackley organization. Wolff will teach the course in conjunction with Professor Anita Albers, with whom he has worked closely in recent years. Dutch-born Albers followed Wolff and the team during the 2021 season, studying the way he operated, and wrote a case study called Toto Wolff and the Mercedes Formula One team. Very original name, isn't it? Which led to previous appearances by Wolff at the university's campus in Massachusetts. The pair also collaborated on an article in the prestigious Harvard Business Review called Number One in Formula One, which encapsulated Wolff's approach to leadership in 6 lessons. The executive fellow role is granted to people working in various areas who are willing to teach in their spare time along with their day job. So very, very cool from Toto Wolff to go and take part in this. And but also, what an honor. To be asked by the top university in the world to go and explain exactly how you do things, because that's what people want to know.
Yes, for sure. And Toto Wolff says there in the article, I feel very honored and privileged to continue working with the incredibly bright young minds at Harvard, said Wolff. Whenever I step on campus, I'm inspired by the students' curiosity and ambition, and I leave energized by the special learning environments they create together with the brilliant faculty. We very much look forward to welcoming Toto back to the campus, said Albers. So clearly a very, very exciting opportunity there for Toto Wolff, as well as the students at Harvard.
I say more for the students. Imagine being a Harvard student, you go there and then Toto Wolff telling you how to make Formula One cars. Not quite, but obviously how to run a team. Would be awesome. But otherwise, people, that does bring us to the end of our preview for the Miami Grand Prix. Reese, I'm going to hit it as we always do. We're going to have predictions. Your top 5. Go. For 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Go.
Oh, gosh. From 5th?
Yes, from 5th. Because I really want to introduce other drivers into this, not just the podium places.
5th, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, P4. Lance Stroll, P3. Gosh. Can I change Lance Stroll with Fernando Alonso?
I was about to say, I made such a reaction. I was like, why Lance Stroll out of the 2?
Sergio Perez, P2, and Max Verstappen, P1.
So you have Carlos Sainz higher than Charles Leclerc?
Well, let's see.
Yes, I know, I did put you on the spot there, so you might well change that. But nonetheless, I'm going to go with my top 5 here. I'm going to say Carlos Sainz, P5. I'm going to say Fernando Alonso in P4, Charles Leclerc, P3, and then Perez 2, Verstappen 1. I think that's my top 5, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did actually see that. I'm sure Mercedes will sneak in somewhere. Maybe Fernando Alonso sneaks onto a podium again in that 3rd place.
Well, let's see what upgrades Mercedes bring this weekend. We will obviously be watching that very closely starting tomorrow evening. What time did you say, Mark?
As I say, Eastern Standard Time. I think, as I said, it was 1:30. But anyway, we'll be streaming from about, we'll probably go live at about 9 p.m. South African Standard Time.
So now.
So pretty much now, tomorrow, exactly 24 hours. But obviously this is a recording, so it is 9 p.m. currently. Very keen to go and watch that. And of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, tell us your thoughts about what's going to happen this weekend with regards to Miami. And be sure to watch the channel and subscribe and turn on all the notifications so that when our live streams do go up, you can be notified. Come and join us and we can chat live throughout all of the sessions this weekend in Miami. Reese, any final thoughts on what's going to happen this weekend?
Well, I hope we get some shakeups with the upgrades coming this race weekend, but we will have to see. Very exciting race weekend ahead of us, so please do join us.
Indeed. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much for watching Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. I've been Mark, Reese has been Reese, and we'll see you this weekend. Goodbye. everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. Today's guide on how to watch the 2023 Formula One season, which kicks off this weekend. The Bahrain Grand Prix will officially get the season underway, and there is just so much action between now and about November when the season will come to an end. Just races all around the world, more sprints, more races, a busier season than ever, and yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting season to see exactly if Red Bull can continue to sort of assert their dominance, if we're going to see Mercedes coming back, what are we going to see? And the question is, how can you watch all the action throughout the season? Now, the first things first is that we will do videos for every single Grand Prix. We will do videos on how to watch that particular Grand Prix on a free-to-air broadcaster. Which means that as long as you subscribe to the channel and you monitor us, you'll be able to sort of find out how to watch every single race on a free-to-air broadcaster. And so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. Now, to be able to do that, though, however, there are very different broadcasters from around the world. So what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself a VPN. Now, we recommend using ExpressVPN because we've tried and tested it, and it just works. So what you're going to do, link in the description, get ExpressVPN, get yourself that year subscription as well. If you sign up for a year subscription, you'll actually get an extra 3 months for free, which means you'll be able to start watching from this weekend, and it'll cover you up to about June next year. You're going to install ExpressVPN, and it's going to come up something looking like that. And you think if you click on the right-hand side there, you're then going to get these this pop-up, and those are all the locations of all the various places where you can, connect to sort of servers. And what it does, it kind of geolocates your device. So, for example, for Bahrain, there are free-to-air broadcasts in Belgium as well as in Austria. So you connect to those locations and you go to those sites. But if you totally wanted to watch the entire season, my recommendation would be to get F1 TV Pro. Now, it is only available in certain locations, that being the US, the Netherlands, Sweden, I think Spain, Germany. Then you'll need to use ExpressVPN if it's not covered in that region. And again, so what you do is you go on ExpressVPN, you go and select the United States, and then all you do is you turn it on. As soon as this goes green, it means that you are currently connected to a server in the United States. You're then going to go and sign up for F1 TV Pro, which is $45 for the entire year. Alternatively, it is $5 a month, which is really not a lot of money. And you can get so many more things. You can watch onboard footage with individual drivers. You get behind-the-scenes content. It really is the best way to watch Formula One. However, you can only watch it in those regions. And that is where a VPN, like ExpressVPN, will come in clutch and enable you to really sort of get the most out of F1 TV. Check out the description for a sort of step-by-step guide on exactly how you can do it. Apart from that, we'll see you guys throughout the season. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. Today's guide on how to watch the 2023 Formula One season, which kicks off this weekend. The Bahrain Grand Prix will officially get the season underway, and there is just so much action between now and about November when the season will come to an end. Just races all around the world, more sprints, more races, a busier season than ever, and yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting season to see exactly if Red Bull can continue to sort of assert their dominance, if we're going to see Mercedes coming back, what are we going to see? And the question is, how can you watch all the action throughout the season? Now, the first things first is that we will do videos for every single Grand Prix. We will do videos on how to watch that particular Grand Prix on a free-to-air broadcaster. Which means that as long as you subscribe to the channel and you monitor us, you'll be able to sort of find out how to watch every single race on a free-to-air broadcaster. And so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. Now, to be able to do that, though, however, there are very different broadcasters from around the world. So what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself a VPN. I recommend using ExpressVPN because we've tried and tested it and it just works. So what you're going to do, link in the description, get ExpressVPN, get yourself that year subscription as well. If you sign up for a year subscription, you'll actually get an extra 3 months for free, which means you'll be able to start watching from this weekend and it'll cover you up to about June next year. You're going to install ExpressVPN and it's going to come up something look like that. And you think if you click on the right-hand side there, you're then going to get these this pop-up, and those are all the locations of all the various places where you can, connect to sort of servers. And what it does, it kind of geolocates your device. So, for example, for Bahrain, there are free-to-air broadcasts in Belgium as well as in Austria. So you connect to those locations and you go to those sites. But if you totally wanted to watch the entire season, my recommendation would be to get F1 TV Pro. Now, it is only available in certain locations, that being the US, the Netherlands, Sweden, I think Spain, Germany. Then you'll need to use ExpressVPN if it's not covered in that region. And again, so what you do is you go on ExpressVPN, you go and select the United States, and then all you do is you turn it on. As soon as this goes green, it means that you are currently connected to a server in the United States. You're then going to go and sign up for F1 TV Pro, which is $45 for the entire year. Alternatively, it is $5 a month, which is really not a lot of money. And you can get so many more things. You can watch onboard footage with individual drivers. You get behind-the-scenes content. It really is the best way to watch Formula One. However, you can only watch it in those regions. And that is where a VPN, like ExpressVPN, will come in clutch and enable you to really sort of get the most out of F1 TV. Check out the description for a sort of step-by-step guide on exactly how you can do it. Apart from that, we'll see you guys throughout the season. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports for the qualifying session of the Miami Grand Prix. We've got just 5 minutes and 40 seconds odd to go until we get going with qualifying. Of course, we've had all 3 practice sessions done, dusted, and complete, and all of the fans are now building in the stadium, or at least in the track for Miami and around the Hard Rock Stadium, ready for qualifying. And hopefully a big crowd. And lots to go and see. The Alpines were very strong in the last session today. Let's see whether or not they can pull off a bit of an upset. McLaren was looking very weak in P3 and free practice 3, but yesterday in free practice 2, they were looking. Norris put in a very, very decent lap right up there in 6th, and could have maybe even improved on it. But nonetheless, lots of things can happen in this qualifying session, and most notably, I think Mercedes having lots of issues in that final practice session. So. Will we see them perhaps maybe falter? Will they have issues? Will there be problems there? Lots of things to go and look at, of course. And you are joining us on Forever Motorsports, which is on Forever Sports. So be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know where you're watching from. Let me know your thoughts about what's going to happen in today's qualifying as well. And not just that, of course, be sure to go look at the description of the video, and you can see exactly how you can watch all of this for free and legally is the best thing about it, of course. Go look at the description there. We tell you exactly how you can do that utilizing one of our partners, ExpressVPN. We've just got the opening titles here running. Reese will be joining us as well as a guest appearance from one of my friends, a Mercedes supporter he is. He'll be joining us, I'm sure, in a bit. And when he does, it'll be fantastic to go and watch. Let's see whether or not Mercedes can fix their issues. I do see Reese has joined us. I'm not sure if he can hear us, if he's got his mic on. But Reese is here, and I'm hoping everybody else can hear him as well as we're getting ready for qualifying.
Yes, getting very exciting now. Qualifying soon to get underway. Just 4 minutes to go until we get underway in qualifying. Who is your top five? Mark, I know we gave a top five at the end of FP3. Who do you think is going to top the timesheets here?
Well, I think I'm going to go with the same names I said earlier. I think I'm going to go Max Verstappen 1, Charles Leclerc 2, Sainz 3, Perez in 4th, Alonso 5th, and then I'm just also sneaking in a 6th place. I know you asked for Tony only 5, but I'm going to have Gasly in 6th. Funny enough, I think that Alpine is really, really motoring there, and I think he might well be managing to push the top 5 there.
Yes, the Alpine has been looking very quick out there. I think my top 5 will be Max Verstappen P1, Charles Leclerc P2, Sergio Perez 3, Sainz P4, and I'm going to change it up a bit from my last one, maybe just with the last one, maybe Hamilton P5.
Hamilton P5, even after all of Mercedes' issues.
Well, you never know.
Well, maybe I do know. Nah, I'm joking. It's all, of course, to race for. We've got just under 2.5 minutes to go until qualifying does begin here in Miami. So lots of anticipation. And I wonder which, what's a better thing to try and predict, Jerry? What are the 5 cars that we are not going to see in Q2?
That's pretty easy to say. As well as AlphaTauri, I don't think will be in Q2. Who else? Well, it's quite difficult as we see some wildlife out there.
Yes, we've got manatees, I think those are in the ocean there.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with my 5 people that won't make it into Q2. I'm going to go both AlphaTauris. I'm going to go Yuki Tsunoda and Nick de Vries will not make it in. I think Oscar Piastri will not make it in either. That's 3. And then I think Guan Yu Zhou will be another one not making it in. And let's go. Yeah, I think we'll also go with his teammate Valtteri Bottas will also not make it. I think those are the 2. So we'll have no AlphaTauris, we'll have no Alfa Romeos, and then Oscar Piastri and the McLaren will also not make it into P2. That's my prediction.
We saw how in Azerbaijan, Matty from P1, Matty P1 made a prediction of who would be the flop of the weekend, and it kind of had a bit of a commentator's curse on Yuki Tsunoda, who just had a shocker of a sprint race and then didn't have a great race on Sunday. Who do you think will be the flop of the weekend here?
I think that's a very harsh thing to go and try and predict. Well,
I mean, you never know. It could be another case of the commentator's curse.
I'm going to revise my one thing to go with that, and I think that's going to be my flop of the weekend. And I think it's a very harsh thing, but I'm going to go with Logan Sargent in the Williams. I think, funny enough, actually, I think is going to replace Bottas in that bottom 5 that will not make it into Q2. I think that's my prediction there. I think I'll put Bottas back into Q2 and put Logan Sargent down there.
Yeah, no, I don't think he is going to make it into Q2 today. He has not shown that he has the pace to make it into Q2, unfortunately. But his teammate has shown that he does have that pace. And I would be surprised if we don't see Alex Albon in Q2, as we now have a green light here for Q1 in Miami.
Indeed. And we talk about Logan Sargent, and he is the one leading out the very first car going out onto the track to try and get some early qualifying laps in this first qualifying session. Of course, let us know in the comments, guys, who do you think is going to be eliminated in this first session? And otherwise, who is going to top the charts today and get on top of the grid, right at the front of the grid for tomorrow's race? We have all of the action, of course, coming to you live from Forever Sports. And again, if you guys are looking for a way to watch this, be sure to look in the description of the video. And you can go see exactly how you can watch live along with us, of course. So be sure to go look at that. And we see Red Bull action here. Some people are getting out onto the track. Lots of cars heading out nice and early to get some early laps done. Max Verstappen now heading out onto the track.
Yes, looking very strong all race weekend. They certainly have it all to lose here in qualifying. I certainly think that they will be near the top of the timesheets. If we do have another team leapfrogging them, that will certainly be a bit of a surprise for us here. Please do also take part in our poll that we are currently running in the comment section, asking us, well, our poll saying who will qualify first in Miami. Do let us know who you are supporting here today.
So the only cars still in the pits at the moment are both Ferraris and both Aston Martins, choosing to go for a bit of a different qualifying strategy to the rest of the grid, not making their way out onto track yet. It's a bit busy. I'm sure they'll wait for a couple of laps to be put in from all the other cars, and then they'll head out themselves when it's a much quieter track. So could favor them, could be
It's a good strategy.
But,
it also allows the track to get rubbered up a little bit, and it just gets a little bit faster, and that could also allow them just to have that edge on the Red Bulls.
Exactly. As we see Logan Sargent here running the very first fast lap, although I don't know if it's me or not. I think he's given up on the lap, perhaps. Yeah, he has indeed given up. He's let somebody go past him. And so indeed the first lap will actually be done by an Alfa Romeo. I think it's Bottas who's heading out nice and quickly there.
Yes, those Alfa Romeos, specifically the Alfa Romeo of Valtteri Bottas, has looked quite rapid here this weekend. Obviously not able to get up into that top 5 at all, but still looking quite strong here for the Alfa Romeo.
Also following here, Nico Hülkenberg starting his quick lap. Quite a few people now starting a fast lap. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with Mercedes, of course, having lots of issues in that P3. Perhaps they'll fix them now, and they've sorted out all those issues as they get around the track, hopefully putting themselves up there. And all these various drivers starting their fast laps. We'll see the first one get put in from the Alfa Romeos, which are on the very, very long straight just before the final 2 corners coming to that finish line. And Hamilton
as
already
we now
putting
have
in
Albon putting in a fast time of a 1:30.9, the benchmark for now. Let's see what other people can do.
I'm sure we'll see some quicker times get put in as Zhou goes quickest, a 1:30.1. His teammate Bottas will then take him with a 1:29.9. And oh my word, huge spin, not spin, but big drift there from Hülkenberg, I think it is. Yeah, massive slide.
Still keeping himself up on his time. But yes, you don't want to have a big slide like that. You're going to lose so much time. As Kevin Magnussen now goes first with a 1:29 point. Is that a 3? I think it is. Yes, so 1:29.3.
And Hülkenberg goes over.
Norris up in second now.
Yeah, only in 5th due to that slide. I think he might well have actually been the quickest lap if had he not had that slide. Russell only at 1:29.8, so still behind Norris and Magnussen, who've put in 2 faster times. So nobody's really all that much quicker. Magnussen's time holding it quite well compared to everybody else.
Verstappen had the fastest middle sector, but then it got taken away by somebody. Is that possibly a Ferrari? No, they're both on outlaps, so possibly Sergio Perez behind him, putting on a faster lap time as he now goes first with a 1:28.4.
That's Verstappen, of course. Just watching that slide now from Nico Hülkenberg, having quite a big slide there going, oh my word.
Perez has now gone ahead of Max Verstappen, but yes, that moment from Nico Hülkenberg was very sketchy through that the low-speed chicane section.
I don't know how he keeps it off the wall there. My word, he literally skims it with the back of his wing there, but does very well to keep out of danger there. Ferrari's going around here. It's on is that medium tires?
Sergio Perez currently 0.1 seconds up on Max Verstappen.
And do you think that's a quick enough time for both Red Bulls to stay in the pits? I don't think it will be. I think everybody will come back out onto track.
No, I think this track is going to evolve quite quickly, especially with everyone out on softs at the moment, laying down that rubber. You're going to want to go out and do a second.
Perez just on the radio there saying that it's quite windy out there. So both Ferraris now currently doing their fast lap attempts, and he's already down on Perez Leclerc. He's got a quicker first sector than Perez's time, but not a purple sector. Sainz also quicker than Perez in that first sector. Let's see how they fare in that second sector, though. That's the crucial time. Lots of traffic that they're going to have to put up with here. That's the unfortunate thing about their strategy. All of the cars they have to put up with, my word, all the cars all over the track. There's Leclerc going around. Hopefully, he's going to put in quite a quick time as he comes towards the marker for the second sector, going through that little tricky bollard section, managed to get out very cleanly. And still looks quicker than Perez, I think it is. Not just 0.1 seconds off of Perez's time. Sainz following as well. Let's see how he fares. And he is also about 0.3 seconds slower than Perez in that sector, coming up towards the last couple of corners of the track.
Coming now into the second to last corner, looking clean and tidy, no locking up of the brakes. Going now down that start-finish straight. And where will he put himself? Leclerc goes second with a 1:28.4, splitting the two Red Bulls. Where does Sainz put himself now as he comes across the line, putting himself down into fourth behind Max Verstappen with a 1:28.7?
And the next driver, of course, to watch is that of Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martins. The last two cars to go and put a time on, and currently also improved on Perez's time in that first sector. But it's the second sector that the Red Bulls have found themselves so strong in. And so let's see if the Aston Martins can put a similar sort of pace. Alonso seems to be going very quickly around. He might well be quicker than Perez through that sector. He is almost a whole second up on... I think it's now only on Hulkenberg. Now they've changed which timing we're following. I think it is. But hopefully Alonso's going to put quite a quick time in here. Let's see whether or not he does.
Wow. Just watching a bit of movement further down the grid, we have Logan Sargent just leapfrogging his teammate Alex Albon and putting himself up into ninth position. We certainly did not expect him to put himself up there. We also have the two Alfa Romeos of Zhou in seventh and Bottas in eighth. Esteban Ocon down in ninth at the moment, but Fernando Alonso just splitting the Ferrari and the Red Bull. As I say that, though, another person splits those two. Kevin Magnussen putting himself up into fifth.
Yeah, just to run through that, Alonso put a purple sector for number 3 as well. They're just coming towards the end. Only 0.3 seconds off of the quickest time so far. So very, very good for Aston Martin as we see a replay here of Lewis Hamilton getting held up by big traffic. And oh my word, goes into the wall as a result. Oh my word, very slightly into the wall. And that's going to be a I think that's going to be a problem for Haas. I think they're going to get in trouble. They could
certainly get a penalty for that. That was so dangerous.
Very dangerous bit of driving from the Haas there. I don't know which Haas it was, but shocking. Race control. Turn 17 incident involving cars. 20, Magnussen and Hamilton noted impeding. Magnussen will surely get a big penalty for that. Very dangerous.
Just waiting for people to go on their second runs now. We might see the Red Bulls go on a second run. We've seen how they liked in practice to go out and do their first quali run, then a second one after 2 cool-down laps.
And there's a bit of a race here happening between the Aston Martin and McLaren for some reason happening on that long DRS zone
Aston Martin, though, getting ahead of the McLaren quite easily. I think Lando just gave up on that.
Obviously building up for a lap attempt, I think, or perhaps they're a bit of a weird one because they're not going back into the pits straight away.
No, as I said, I think they've got enough tyres to be able to go out, do their quali lap, maybe do 1 or 2 cool-down laps, and then go for a second run. As we see Russell now half a second up on Sergio Perez's
on
lap.
Piastri's time, I think. Oh, no, maybe it is on
No, he's got a purple sector.
He has got a purple sector, indeed. Yes, sorry.
Finally,
not sure it's half a second quicker than Perez, though.
Yes, he is. Well, possibly he's down on Piastri's time.
I think it's on Piastri, yeah.
Sorry, they've put up the driver at risk time rather than the pole sitter's time.
Now we've got him
against now Perez, down in the middle sector.
Just 0.1 behind Perez's time right now, Russell. So if he gets a half decent sector 3, he should actually put himself right up near the top, perhaps quicker than Leclerc, and maybe even if he does decently, quicker than Perez.
Someone has taken the fastest middle sector, though. It looks like it is Charles Leclerc at the moment. Max Verstappen, though, with the fastest first sector. Some more fast laps coming in at the moment. Let's keep an eye on all of these sector times as we see that now coming up on our screens. Sector 2, a 33.2 for Charles Leclerc.
Russell there, unfortunately, messing up Sector 3, it seems, because he was only 0.1 seconds behind Perez. As Leclerc now goes quickest with a sub 128, a
Max Verstappen, though,
127.89.
close behind. Max Verstappen, though, close behind with the fastest first and second sector. Let's see what he is able to do in the final sector with a cleaner run. Just a replay here of, I think this is Valtteri Bottas, or Zhou Guanyu, sorry. Just having to get round a Ferrari there. Oh, getting pushed a bit wide, nearly into the wall. Terrible from the Ferrari. Just a bit of a joke now with all of these traffic impediments. As we see now, Max Verstappen has put in the fastest lap time, a 127.3, 0.4 seconds up on everyone else at the moment.
Yes, indeed. And as I said, we're going to have a little bit of a guest appearance here from a Mercedes fan. He is just joining quickly. I just want to make sure that I stay in shot whilst I do all this. Just go back here. And yeah, I mean, Mercedes not doing terribly, but not doing particularly well in this qualifying session so far. Hamilton all the way down to the bottom as he's starting here a fast lap. He's got quicker in the first sector.
We see here from the stewards, turn 17 incident involving cars 20 and as I'm reading it, of course, will be involving cars 20 and 44 after the session for impeding. So we could see a penalty there for Kevin Magnussen.
And Hamilton here going over for his lap and only up into 10th. So not particularly quick for both of the Mercedes drivers. Not really certifying their dominance. Has clearly still got a little bit of problems from that earlier session, of course, that we had today. So quite interesting. We'll go and look at the grid right now. We've got 2 Red Bulls, 1, 2, the Ferraris in 3 and 4, and the Aston Martins in 5 and 6. Very much like the Constructors' Championship at the moment.
Once again, Hamilton on the replay, just taking a lot of curb in that the low-speed chicane section, just having another bite of the floor going through there, I'm sure, as we are now hearing from Charles Leclerc on the radio. Just saying that the traffic at the moment is extremely, extremely stressful. Just shouting at his engineer to tell him more and inform him when there are faster cars coming from behind.
Alex Albon suddenly with a very quick lap all the way up into 5th, a 128 point, can't quite see there, but I think it was a 128.6 perhaps, or no, not even a 128.2, I think. Very quick lap there from the Williams driver, Albon, and that's going to put a whole lot of drivers straight out back onto the track perhaps, because they're suddenly thinking, oh, we could come under threat here.
Yes, the track is evolving very quickly, as we have seen throughout all of the practice sessions. The track just keeps improving. I mean, Max Verstappen already almost under the 127 mark. We didn't expect to even get to the 127 mark yet today.
No, I think we're going to get lower than the 127 mark today in qualifying. Right, might well get into the 126s, which is going to be absolutely insane.
Current projected knockout lap time is a 128.7. So that goes all the way up to Hamilton in 12th.
They're going to have to change that prediction because Hülkenberg has just gone over the 127.9.
Yeah. Hamilton is well in trouble here.
Just 3 minutes left for both Mercedes drivers who are right at risk, and both of them are currently in the drop zone.
And both in the pits, critically, they're both in the pits.
Oh my word.
They better get them out very quickly if they do not want to be eliminated.
Oh my word, Mercedes are going to be very, very much in trouble here. They need to really motor. Both McLarens right at the bottom, also on an out lap. Let's see whether or not they can do half decently, but they need to get, oh my word, very dangerous release there in front of Hülkenberg, one of the AlphaTauris there as well.
So close to the AlphaTauri.
As we are joined by Mercedes fan Dion, and he is he's just confused as to how on earth his Mercedes drivers are so far down the grid. Dion, give me your thoughts.
I mean, obviously I've just joined. I have no idea what happened. What? Oh wait, there's still an out. This is quali 1.
This is quali 1.
Oh, so on an out lap.
Yeah.
Okay, so they haven't qualified yet. They haven't set a time yet.
No, but you know what they are going to do? No, they have set times, but just not very quick ones. But the track is evolving at a rapid rate, as we're going to explain to everybody on the back there. The more rubber is on the track, the more the track is going to evolve, and we see the smaller cars putting in quicker times. So Desperate times call for desperate measures from Mercedes. They need to get around as quickly as possible. Hey, Reese?
Yes, certainly they really need to get to that line before these next 2 minutes elapse. They have 2 minutes to start their hot laps. Otherwise, they will be eliminated from qualifying. There's still a lot of traffic, though, out on track. I mean, we see just down that back straight how many cars are waiting to start their hot laps. That could also be an issue for the Mercedes. If they get caught up by people trying to back themselves up a bit too much, they could find themselves running out of time.
This is also a late attempt from Norris here. Norris and Piastri. I don't know why they're waiting so late to come out and do qualifying.
Indeed, yeah. And as we've got 1 minute left, and Magnussen now goes third quickest at 1:27.8, right behind the two Red Bulls, so quicker than the Ferrari driver. So, yeah, the Mercedes are going to have to make sure they nail this last lap, otherwise they're out.
Everyone is currently out on track except for Max Verstappen. I mean, Sergio Perez could very well be at risk here if we have Kevin Magnussen making himself all the way up to fourth already.
Absolutely insane things. Just 45 seconds left, of course, to get across the finishing line. Can those two Mercedes get out of that elimination zone? It's all yet to be seen. Sainz goes now second fastest, so 1:27.6. Still not quite close enough to Max Verstappen's time.
Neat and tidy, though, for Lando Norris through that chicane section, now making his way down the back straight. Norris currently 2.2 seconds up on Ocon's time, so able to get out of that drop zone right now, but will it be good enough?
Russell here only getting 0.1 seconds quicker than Ocon, so not really bolting all the way right up. And other drivers currently at risk surely would be looking at the 13th, 14th, and 12th, perhaps even that Aston Martin of Lance Stroll, quite
Lando
in danger
Norris
there as well.
Lando now up into 11th position, so hopefully he will be able to last until the end of this session. We will have to see, though. There are a lot of drivers out on quali laps right now. George Russell making his way to the end of sector 2. Let's see his sector time right now. It's currently 0.6 seconds up on Sargent's time, the driver at risk. Ocon puts himself now up into 6th place as Bottas then takes 6th from him.
So both Russell and Hamilton coming towards the end of their laps. Can they get out of that elimination zone all the way right at the bottom now, 19th and 20th? Can they do it? Can they get ahead? Here comes Russell across the line. Will he get back into that? He does, into 10th place. Will Hamilton also do it? Let's see. He comes across to 126, 127, 128. Hamilton goes into 6th. So they will be secure, hopefully. And yeah, almost a very big scare there for both Aston Martin drivers, but for the Mercedes drivers. But Stroll of the Aston Martin all the way down in 18th. He will not go into the next qualifying session. Huge problems there for Aston Martin.
I mean, crazy to have such a difference between those two drivers.
Sorry, so it's unlike Mercedes to not be kind of up in the first 10 in any case, never mind in the elimination zone on a quali 1.
They are really, really struggling with their car this year. Still not able to get to grips with their zero side pod design. I mean, they've got massive upgrades coming for Imola. They better just be praying at this point that it's going to be a radical upgrade for them.
So that is pretty much bringing us to the end of the Q1 session. Still a couple of cars out right now, but they're all coming back into the pits. I think that's pretty much just going to be finished. So drivers eliminated from the very first session. Logan Sargent, as we did predict, would be the flop of the weekend, unfortunately, all the way down in 20th in his home Grand Prix. Poor Sargent. Piastri in 19th for the McLaren. Stroll of the Aston Martin 18th. Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri in 17th. And Norris in 16th. So I did predict both McLarens wouldn't go through. I actually didn't predict both. I just said Piastri. But yeah, very concerning the fact that the Aston Martin of Stroll not making it into Q2.
Yes, I'm certainly very... Well, I didn't expect to have Stroll out in Q1. I mean, the Aston Martins have been quite strong in qualifying as well as throughout the race. That's going to be quite a head-scratching moment for Aston Martin. Sargent sounding quite dejected in the fact that he's down in P20 at the moment.
Yeah, well, all to go in the second session. You can just see how much the track just changes during each session. So it's got to be really, really careful, all of these drivers, not to mess around and not waste time during the qualifying session, because we just saw there how all of the smaller teams suddenly put in much quicker laps right towards the end of that session, which almost put Mercedes out. And it did, in fact, put Stroll in that Aston Martin out. He should not be down there, Stroll, and yet he is. So even Alonso is not too safe all the way in 12th. So they need to be really, really careful here. The later you do your lap in each session, the better, apparently.
Yes, we'll certainly see teams taking note of this for Q2. Just listening to Lando Norris's race engineer, they are saying they're looking at track limits for a lot of cars at the moment, just making sure that everyone is well within the lines, that no one's lap is going to be deleted, because that, of course, gives them an opportunity to move back up, because Lando Norris was unfortunately the driver at risk and the driver that was dropped from Q1 all the way up in 16th position.
Well, Reese, just tell me your thoughts about that session. I mean, how on earth did that happen?
Well, it was rather predicted with the bottom 5, except for Stroll. I mean, we expected the McLarens to be at the bottom. We expected one of the AlphaTauris as well as Sargent, but we certainly did not expect Stroll to be down there at all.
No, not at all. And
what it has done, though, is
sorry,
it's given Nick de Vries the opportunity to take part in the Q2, which is, I mean, great for him.
Just quite an interesting little stat there. It's the first time that did I read that correct? It's the first time that Hamilton has out-qualified Russell in a Q3 session since Baku last year.
Q1 session.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Sure. It's quite incredible. And otherwise, guys, whilst we've got a little bit of a break here, whilst we're waiting for Q2, be sure to go and subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment where you're watching from, who you're supporting, and of course, if you guys are looking for a way to watch the Formula One right now, be sure to look at the description in the video, and you can see exactly how you can watch for free and legally, of course. So that's the best thing as well. So go and look at that as well whilst we wait for the second Q session to get going.
Robert Mumsey just saying, come on, P6, get in. I'm just having a look. Oh, that is Hamilton in P6. Yes, glad that he was able to put himself up into the top 10. Let's hope that he is able to get a bit further up in the next session, as we now have Max Verstappen getting out down the pit lane for the start of Q2. Both Red Bulls out first.
Yeah, very interesting. They're opting for the immediately going out there, not waiting. And we could see that didn't really work all that well for Aston Martin to wait. They all almost lost both their drivers. Alonso, they're surviving from all those quicker lap times, but Stroll not able to make it into the next session. So, yeah, I think most teams will probably try and get out there and try and do as many laps as possible, especially towards the end of the session.
Red Bull also just making the choice to get out there quickly before there's any traffic on the track. So that could also allow them to have a much cleaner lap and extract a little bit more performance out of the car. 30 seconds left until Q2 gets underway here. As we look on the pool here in Miami, just checking a couple fans who aren't actually concerned about the race at all. They are just lying in the pool.
To be fair, it's a very cool little pool toy that they've got there. Just got a comment here. It's just saying, PT here saying, well, Merck had its hat day while throwing boatloads of money at their car for years. Those days are over. Can't see anyone hitting those records anymore with the budget cap. Well, it's not at all wrong in terms of that budget cap, certainly impacting a lot of teams. But, you know, they still have all the resources behind their name, Mercedes. I'm sure you'll see them fight back as we do see the start of Q2 now.
Yes, both Red Bulls getting out now. I don't know who else was waiting in the pit lane, but I'm sure we will have a couple drivers making their way out onto track.
Looks like both Mercedes drivers are out nice and early as well.
Yes, it does seem that way. Possibly going to try work with a bit of a tow to get themselves a bit higher up. We haven't seen anyone really trying to work the tow here this weekend just yet in qualifying.
So currently on track, we've got Russell, Perez, Zhou, Verstappen, Hamilton, And Magnussen now joining the track as well.
And Hulkenberg too, as well as Alonso. I'm just watching all of these people drive out. Let's see whose name pops up next.
I think you'd be a bit not stupid, but I think based off of the first qualifying session, you wouldn't want to wait long to get your car out there.
No, definitely not with all the traffic that you experience around here.
So can Mercedes actually improve on that first qualifying session? Almost a disaster class there, luckily saving it right at the end there. But yeah, lots to now race for. And everyone knows that anybody can finish anywhere apparently in this Miami qualifying because the track is just evolving so quickly. You need to try and time when you do your quickest lap. Max Verstappen, the only one who was safe of his time. Everybody else was very much in danger of being taken.
Max Verstappen now starting his flying lap. Let's see what he can do. Now getting so tight there on that final corner. Now DRS wide open, crossing that start-finish line, making his way now to turn 1. Getting neat and tidily through there, hitting the apex in 1, 2, and now 3. Looking so neat and tidy there through turns 6 and 7. Now making his way into the very tricky left-hand braking zone of turn 8. Now down the long first DRS straight with the fastest first sector time for now.
And Perez following closely behind, but not managing to better his teammates' time in that first sector. So Verstappen still leading it.
Verstappen maxing out at 332 kilometers an hour by the end of that DRS straight. Super fast these drivers are able to go at the moment as Max is now making his way through that tricky chicane section. Looking neat and tidy, making a little bit of a correction though into the right-hander, getting so close to the wall as he takes the purple sector in sector 2 as well. Now, DRS wide open, little bit of bouncing, not too much, looking a lot more stable than the Ferraris and the Mercedes. Now making his way to the last big braking point on the track. Neat on the brakes, no lockups, keeping well within the lines there. Now, last 2 corners, left and then a right. DRS wide open now across the line, putting himself first with a 1:27.110. Very, very fast for the Red Bull. Sergio Perez behind him with the fastest final sector with a 1:27.2.
And Russell here following on only a 1:28.1, so already a whole second behind the Red Bulls there. Hamilton now following as well as Alonso and all of these other drivers. We're going to go and see what's going to happen.
Ooh, yeah, sliding a bit there for Hamilton.
And only a 1:28.3.
He's going to lose a bit of time from that. Yeah, that's not surprising considering that he had that slide at the end. Probably lost him about 0.1, 0.2 seconds. So he may have been faster than George Russell as we now have Fernando Alonso up into P3, 0.3 seconds behind Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen.
And both Magnussen and Hulkenberg putting some lap times in here. Hulkenberg all the way up into 4th. Alonso doing very well with a 27.49. So very close to those Red Bull times as well. So good on Alonso in that Aston Martin. It's exactly where we should see it. Stroll not doing very well to get it into this Q2 as you see Alonso there just showing exactly how it should be done in that Aston Martin.
Watching Günther Steiner there at the Haas pit wall. Lots of chat always about Günther Steiner, such a big figure as well in Formula One, thanks to Drive to Survive. As we're now watching his driver, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, looking neat and tidy in the chicane section, not taking as much curb as Lewis Hamilton, who seems to be just running it a lot deeper through there and hitting the floor quite a lot when he goes through that section. Just watching Esteban Ocon now setting up his hot lap.
So just 10 minutes to go in this Q2 session. And yeah, we do have, of course, a Mercedes fan alongside us, only in 6th and 7th at the moment, but not many times have been put on. And are you concerned about your team right now? That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's not looking great.
You know, to be honest, for the last couple of years, I guess they've been, you know, consistent in their 6th and 7th places. I feel like that's, you know, this is on par with their performance. Being between the 5th and 8th marker, I'm quite happy. You know, And to be honest, I'm not big on Hamilton in itself or in who he is as a driver. I'm a very big Russell fan, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. If they finish 6th and 7th or anywhere around the mark, top 10 or below 8th is kind of my goal always for the Mercedes. That's kind of always what I hope for. Can't hope for much more than that, unfortunately, in these current years.
Esteban Ocon currently on a hot lap right now, putting in some good sector times for himself. Personal best right now, 0.4 seconds off of Max Verstappen's time. That should put him around 5th if he is able to keep that lap time going.
And we've got Alpine here coming across. Gasly, not really managing to get quite not quite near Verstappen's time, but not too slow either. So Ocon coming across the line here. Let's see what time he puts in, right up into 4th. So a very good time there. 27, as I said, just shows how quickly this track evolves and just permanently always improves times each time.
Gasly now coming up to the end of his lap. He puts himself up into 5th position, right behind his teammate Esteban Ocon. 0.5 seconds off of Max Verstappen's time for Ocon and 0.7 seconds off of Max Verstappen's time for Pierre Gasly.
Sorry to interrupt, but Carlos Sainz has put in a purple first sector. So this is going to be one to watch. Charles Leclerc not going as quickly as Sainz right now. So could Sainz now go and potentially compete with Max Verstappen's time? Let's wait and see.
Carlos Sainz, obviously, with the other Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, they went out quite late here in qualifying as to get the most evolved track compared to the Red Bulls and allow them to compete. We'll see the Red Bulls coming out a bit later, but Carlos Sainz putting in sector time so close to Max Verstappen. 0.02 seconds up on Max Verstappen right now.
Doing very well. He's just nailing all of these lines. Absolutely perfect lap pretty much from Sainz. Is he going to go quicker than Verstappen? He goes over. And so we're following Charles Leclerc.
All the way down in 4th for Charles Leclerc. Let's see where Sainz puts himself now.
Oh, so close.
So close. 0.03 seconds slower than Max Verstappen. So close right now. So great to see these cars just being milliseconds off of each other right now.
But again, we do find both Mercedes drivers in that drop zone yet again. Only still 6 minutes left. So still a bit of time, of course. They're currently in the pits, probably waiting to get out there as late as possible, because that's what we saw in the first session. You get quicker times right near the end of the session due to more rubber on the track, etc. The track is just permanently evolving. As we see Sergio Perez here coming around on his lap.
Looking quite neat and tidy right now.
Williams at this point in time.
Yes, the Williams of Alex Albon has been performing very well all weekend long, currently up in 7th position, as well as the two Alpines also putting in some rapid times at the moment. Great to see so many people joining us. Please do let us know where you're tuning in from in the comment section. Also, do take part in our poll that we are running. Let us know who you are rooting for this race weekend.
And of course, we've got just over 5.5 minutes left of Q2, and we see Verstappen as a Perez. Sorry, as a Perez.
Yes, Perez back in the pits, going to the weighbridge at the moment.
Correct. Just watching here a replay of Perez, just seeing. He had a little bit of a mistake. I think he just. Oh my word! Almost clips the wall there. Does he clip the wall? Yeah, he does.
He does clip the wall a little bit there.
Oof.
Someone here in the comment section asking what happened to Stroll. Stroll unfortunately got out too late in Q1 and was not able to get in a fast time, and unfortunately was eliminated. This track evolves so quickly in the last few minutes of the session, and if you're not out, you are at a massive risk of getting eliminated.
Indeed, and we just see some fans. They're holding up some big placards of Alfa Romeo drivers there, Guanyu Zhou and Valtteri Bottas. Of course, both of them still in the session, which is very good for Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo, the only team to have not appeared in Q3 this season. So could they change that now as both of them start some hot laps?
I'm sure they will be hoping that they are able to make it into Q3, but unfortunately at the moment, it is not looking highly likely for the two Alfa Romeos.
Just quickly, Reese, whilst these two Alfa Romeos are going around, how surprised are you at how quickly Sainz managed to get around that track right behind Verstappen there?
Yes, I think it's great for Sainz. He seems to really be feeling comfortable in that car, a lot more comfortable than Charles Leclerc at the moment, who seems to be just a bit off of the pace.
Fernando Alonso's time still standing very well there in fourth, 0.3 seconds behind Verstappen. And yeah, lots of drivers going to be trying to get some decent times out there as we see both Alfa Romeos, Guan Yu Zhou and Valtteri Bottas going around. And they are improving the times on the next driver out to try and get themselves out of that danger zone. Magnussen and Zhou does go 0.2 seconds quicker than Magnussen in that second sector. Bottas 0.6 seconds. So you can just see the times are going to drop dramatically right at the end of the session. So it's all going to be to race for here.
Yes, still a lot of improvements to make here out on track as we see Max Verstappen currently leaving the pits. Even Max Verstappen in P1 with that brilliant lap time is not safe. The track evolves so much that you have to go out and get a final lap time in. As we now see Valtteri Bottas putting himself up into sixth position with a 127.5.
Yeah, brilliant little drive there from Valtteri Bottas. Will he be able to get another lap in? I doubt it. So will that lap hold until the final session? It's going to be a bit of a difficult one to call. I don't think so. I think the other cars are going to come out a bit later and have a better attempt at it. And of course, if you guys are all tuning in, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment who are you supporting and who do we think is going to finish first. And of course, go and vote in that poll as well, guys.
We currently have quite a few people out on some outlaps. We have Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, and Nick de Vries all on outlaps right now. So there are a lot of people who are yet to improve on their current lap times.
And Reese, just quickly before we get there, we've just got a replay here. Sorry, I just want to see if Fernando Alonso leaves the pits. And oh my word, almost gets taken out by Haas. He says that was a dangerous release by Haas.
Very close there.
It was indeed 100%. Oh my word. That could have been a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, it's just getting a little bit too close for comfort, that is for sure.
But what I was going to say before I got there was...
2 minutes left of this session.
Yes, indeed. Just the final 2 minutes. And what I was going to say is just a very quick call, guys. Who do we think is going to not make it into the next session?
Yes, give us your prediction. Who is going to be dropped out of qualifying 2? Max Verstappen now starting his next hot lap.
So Magnussen is going to be the first one to let us know how quickly this track is evolving. He's going to get to the end of the first sector now. Let's see how quick his time is. Leclerc goes quickest, a sub 127 out of nowhere, by the way. I didn't even see that. A 126.9 for Charles Leclerc. Brilliant
that really
little
came
drive
out
there
of
from
nowhere.
him as well.
Yes, so we definitely will break the 127 mark here this weekend. 126.964 for Charles Leclerc, a new track record, that is for sure. As we now currently have Fernando Alonso 0.2 seconds up on, I think, the relegation time at the moment, but putting in a personal best first sector. Let's see what he can do in the middle sector.
Alonso also improving on his first sector, so let's see whether or not he can get quite ahead. He's got a better first sector than Charles Leclerc.
Alonso, Max Verstappen with a purple first sector and a green second sector. Let's see what Max can do as well in the last few minutes of Q2.
And of course, we're looking at Mercedes with bated breath because they're all the way down in 13th and 14th right now. So very crucial. They put some good laps and right at the end here. People say they wouldn't be surprised if both of them go out. And yeah, Mercedes really struggling just due to all those issues they've had in their practice sessions. Max Verstappen puts in the new quickest time, a 126.8. Unbelievable.
Just able to improve on his time with ease, really, as Fernando Alonso pushes himself up into P3.2 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz also finishing this quali session now, putting himself up into 4th. Dion, you must be really worried now about these two Mercedes. Hamilton has not improved on his lap time.
Oh, no, it's not that.
Hamilton has not improved at all. Hamilton will be
Hamilton's
dropped.
out. Oh, my word. Hamilton is out in Q2. And Russell might
Sydney-
well be if Gasly gets quicker here. Does Gasly go quicker than Russell? He does. Russell's at risk. Russell's at risk.
Russell,
He's at
this
risk.
is at risk of being an absolutely dismal session for the Mercedes. Is there anyone else though up there? Yes, Albon.
Albon and Joe.
No, I think they've finished their laps. I think they've given up. I think they're going to come back in because it's put the elimination zone. So Russell survives Q2 only just, but Hamilton is gone. Hamilton is out.
PT Gonzalez, PT just saying he thinks De Vries is going to be dropped from Q2, as well as Brian are saying, I wouldn't be surprised if the two Mercedes go out. Well, you were half correct on that. Sydney Gonzalez saying, why do you think the Mercedes are struggling? Unfortunately, they just are not able to get to grips with their car design for this year. Akash saying, I wish Ferrari gives tough time to Red Bull. Hate to see one team being dominant. They are currently very, very close together, though. So that is great to see right now.
Well, especially with Ferraris having their power units issues at the very beginning of the season. Do you think it has anything to do with the times that they're putting in now, or is it just pure driving skill?
You're asking the comments. You're asking me.
No, I'm actually asking Reese. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Sorry, on. I wasn't
The
concentrating.
close time that he's putting in now. Obviously, Ferrari's had major power unit issues. They had 2 power unit issues himself.
Yes.
Or two power units changes rather.
Well, it looks like they.
Do you think that has anything to do with the track times that he's managing to put in today?
Well, between the big break from, I think it was Australia to Azerbaijan, they supposedly had some gains in the engine departments with terms of reliability. So that's certainly been showing a little bit in Azerbaijan and this race. They were a bit close in Azerbaijan, as well as their upgrades. They were able to make a bit more sense of that maybe in the practice sessions, and now are able to take the fight a little bit closer to the Red Bulls, which is great to see. What's even better to see, may I just comment, is that the top 3 are each a different constructor.
Indeed, it's very cool to see. And Fernando Alonso's lap, I just looked at, which was fantastic to watch as well, is the fact that it was so close to Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, literally just 1 second behind. It's all 3 of them right on top of each other in terms of times. So fantastic to see 3 constructors so far in Q2. But of course, Max Verstappen will surely find some more pace in that final qualifying session to take pole for tomorrow. Do be sure to stay tuned with us, guys. Just to recap for that second session, the drivers we have lost: Alex Albon, Nick De Vries, Guan Yu Zhou, Nico Hulkenberg, and biggest news of all, Lewis Hamilton.
Yes, that is certainly massive news to have Lewis Hamilton out in Q2. Not long left to go until Q3 gets underway. I think it's going to be a bit of a fight for that top step here today.
And indeed, James Pettit there just going and saying, imagine wearing a Mercedes cap live in studio with the performance like that from Hamilton. Dion, do be sure to talk us through exactly what's happening there.
I think they're struggling this. Even last season, they're struggling a little bit. The Mercedes just struggling to keep up with the rest of the pack. Especially with your top performing constructors. I'm very happy that Russell is still up there and making it through to Q3. We'll see what his performance is. Hoping for maybe an 8th or 7th start on the grid, but we got to keep our hopes up as Mercedes fans. There's not much we can do other than that.
It's quite sad to be hoping for a 7th or a 6th. It's true. I mean, we've come from Mercedes being the dominant team in Formula One to getting eliminated in Q2. It's a huge fall from the throne for Mercedes.
I also think with the change in the car setup, last year, it definitely put Mercedes on the back burner. I just think they were behind the curve, didn't really know, how to keep up with the rest of the constructors. Especially, we obviously know Lewis Hamilton had a bit of a mare to the starting of the season. But with the cars bouncing around so much, they couldn't keep up with everyone else.
I mean, Mercedes took a massive risk going into the 2021 season, as well as they kept that risk in 2022. I mean, they they went a completely different direction to every other team in terms of the design of their car. They took that massive risk and they haven't tried to change back. And I mean, unfortunately, I think they're going to have to adapt a normal side pod design in order to be competitive again.
No, 100%. I think Toto and the rest of the team are they're just so used to being on the top of the grid that they haven't really had to do many changes over the years. And I think, as you say, they're struggling to adapt with the latest rules from the FIA as well as the rest of the constructors. I mean, everyone else is just way ahead of the pack. I mean, taking a Haas coming into the top 10, it's a bit of a change from the last couple of seasons.
Yes, for sure. Just getting some great overhead shots here of that pit lane. It's amazing how massive Formula One is becoming in the United States. The amount of people watching on the races here, it's just rather incredible.
Indeed. And of course, we're not very far away from Q3 now, everybody. So do be sure to stay tuned and stay with us as we are going to get going with Q3 very shortly in Miami. The big final session, of course, before the race. Will we see a Max Verstappen in that Red Bull car right on top of pole? Will Charles Leclerc challenge it? Will even Fernando Alonso challenge it? All these various things can happen. We've got so many different constructors in the top 10 for this Q3, which is fantastic to see. We've got Red Bull, Ferrari, Aston Martin. We've got Alpine. We've got Alfa Romeo. We've, for the first time this season in the Q3, and a Haas as well as a Mercedes right at the end there. Russell in 10th place, only just scraping in. So, lots to race for in this final session. And be sure to stay with us, of course, on Forever Sports. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, guys. Tell us who is going to finish on pole.
Yes, it is looking very, very tight for pole position as we now have 30 seconds to go until we get underway for qualifying 3, the final session to determine who will start on the front of the grid for tomorrow.
Just everybody just going in the comments, just having a good discussion about Hamilton and the Mercedes cars, what all went wrong there, of course. Be sure to go and discuss with everybody else in the comments. We'll read a comment every now and then, of course, as well as we see fit. As we do see Q3 has begun. And interestingly, I don't see any cars.
I don't think anyone wants to pull the trigger this time, as we now see the Red Bulls going out, eating our words a little bit there. But yes, we have the Red Bulls going out. I think they enjoyed last session just having a bit of a clean track. They have the pace to be able to just go out and slug a lap, pull a lap together and keep it together at the top of the time boards.
Yeah, as I said, people just predicting Max Verstappen finishing on pole. I do think that is the fair bet. But Dion, let's get your opinion. Your top 3, who's finishing pole, second, and third from this final session?
To be honest, I believe the power unit of Red Bull is just way too strong. You're definitely going to have one of them up there. Obviously, the fan favorite Verstappen, I'm pretty sure will be up in first. I am really hoping for either Leclerc or Sainz up in second. Hopefully having a Ferrari up there. So my prediction would definitely be Verstappen, Leclerc, maybe Russell, but I don't know if that's sorry, not Russell. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? I've been third pole. No.
That's a bit ambitious, John.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say Alonso up in third, but if not Alonso, maybe we'll have Perez up there. Unfortunately, those Red Bulls are just way too fast for the rest of the pack at this point in time.
Reese, quickly as well.
Yes, I'm going to say Verstappen, Leclerc, and Sainz.
Okay, so you're saying 2 Ferraris in the top 3 there. I'm going to go and say Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso, exactly as it was in Q2. I think it's going to be the same thing, although the wind apparently is picking up, says Alonso in his box there, as he's getting ready to go and get going on his first fast lap attempt. Red Bull's coming around the final corners to start our first quick laps in this session.
They are rather close to the beach, so they do get quite gusty winds every now and then, as we now have 10 minutes left of this session. Max Verstappen starting his hot lap now. Current previous polls in the United States, 2022, Carlos Sainz, Leclerc in 2022 as well. I think that was at either the COTA track or this track. Not the greatest stat there from Formula One.
No, not at all. Max Verstappen coming towards the... Oh, my word, he's lost it. He's going to have to give up on that lap, I think. He has given up on that lap, indeed. he just had a big correction there in that first sector, and he's going to have to give up on it. Perez is now the first one, is going to have to go and put a big thing in. So that's not a good start for Verstappen.
No, not at all. Perez is currently up on the first sector time with a 28.3, I think it was there, looking quite neat and tidy now, passing his teammate down the DRS zone, making his way into the middle sector of the track. Perez looking neat and tidy now, coming into the second sector, coming into now the very tight chicane. Going left here, so close to the wall. Neat and tidy though, still so far now. A left-hander making his way down the back straight. Purple middle sector for him. 1 minute, 1 second, 0.991. Very, very fast at the moment. Let's see what he can do now, making his way to the last breaking point.
And of course, Perez setting the first time here, so all sectors will be purple. But the interesting thing is he has remained purple in the first and second sectors so far. So nobody's managing to beat his sector time. So he will pretty much hold that fastest lap as he puts in a 1:26.8. A very, very quick opening lap there in Q3. Can Alonso get close to that? And Ocon a 1:27.9, quite a bit behind there. Alonso now coming over he goes a 1:27.2, so much closer, just 0.4 seconds behind Perez. Russell goes third, a 1:27.8, quite a bit slower, unfortunately, still.
Max Verstappen comes into the pits though, so he will be probably on super low fuel, so he will not be able to go out and do a second lap time. So he's coming back in, refueling, and then we'll get out again to do a fast lap.
Charles Leclerc now put a purple sector in.
It could play well into Max Verstappen's hands, though, having missed that first quali attempt, because now he will get the more evolved track, but it could put him a bit tighter.
Oh, my word.
Wow. What has happened to Charles Leclerc, though? Has he had a big lock up there?
I think he had a big lockback. It was going to be a very good lap time until that happened. Now it's going to be poor, 1:27.8.
It's going to be a 1:27.
Still quicker than Ocon, though.
Still not great, though, Mark.
Yeah, Sainz there at 1:27.3. He goes into third behind Alonso and Perez. But as you say, you think it might be favoring Verstappen to go into the pits now and come out. But at the same time, he can't afford to mess up now. He has another mess up by any chance. He's going to really struggle. He's going to be all the way down in 9th or 10th place if he doesn't get a decent lap in. So I doubt
for sure.
they've already
refueled the car. They are going to send him out on track again very soon. Just watching the replay of Max, just taking a little bit too much curb just losing it twice, actually. Just saying he went a little bit wide, which caused him that bit of oversteer. Just going a little bit wide, ending up on the curb, which unsettles the car a bit. As we see now, Charles Leclerc, a replay of him locking up in the second to last corner and then having a bit of a slide.
So just 6 minutes left in this qualifying session. Of course, we do go and look at the times right now. Russell in 6th, Gasly in 5th, Magnussen in 4th at the moment. Verstappen, of course, without a time, same as Bottas. But they are all of them in the pits with the exception of Charles Leclerc, Kevin Magnussen and Sainz, but they will, of course, be making their way into the pits, I'm sure.
As you say that Kevin Magnussen then goes into the pits, I'm sure we will see Charles Leclerc now come into the pits. Let's see. Yes, he does.
So nobody pretty much out on track at the moment. They'll all be coming back into the pits and then waiting. Lastminute.com. So it's going to be all action right at the end of this qualifying 3 session here this Saturday evening, or, of course, wherever you are in the world. Nonetheless, hopefully a Saturday. Otherwise, if you are watching it like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, fair play to you and welcome to the stream.
Lots of anticipation there for Max Verstappen now. The fact that he has no time, he will have to get back out on track, I'm sure, very soon to set a lap time. As we see now, the mechanics all working on Sergio Perez's car as he is being put into the garage.
Quite interesting. Just looking at the comments, a lot of people having a big argument pretty much over American races and their place in Formula One. And not a bad debate to have, of course, but I think a lot of it, as some people might be forgetting, is due to Drive to Survive, which has really significantly grown the American viewership. So, of course, we will see more American races, as that is ultimately where the money is. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. We need money in the sport to keep the sport going. Not that the sport is doing badly. But, of course, we can hopefully increase budget caps in the future if we can get more money into the sport.
Yes, you say the sport is all about making money. That is the sole reason why we have Monaco as one of the circuits on the season calendar. Because, I mean, Monaco really does not put on a very good race at all, but we still have it. It's partly because of the history of the Monaco Grand Prix, but also because it is where all the high rollers come to watch Formula One. So they really make those prices skyrocket for the Monaco Grand Prix. Just a replay of Charles Leclerc saying, check the car. I think I touched the wall in turn 12. Sorry, turn 16.
And yeah, we do have some cars now making their way back out to the track for their final attempts in the session. As I say, all to race for in these final minutes here. Just 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And we do see Sergio Perez make his way out back onto track.
And Max Verstappen.
It's actually Verstappen. Sorry, yes. I get confused with the new helmets, you see.
Yeah, they do look very similar, but Max Verstappen's car has that big number 1 on the front, if you do look closely there, Mark.
Indeed. So all the cars out on track at the moment. And I think it's going to be a Ferrari that sets our first time. It is Charles Leclerc first out. Sainz following, then Russell, then Ocon, Alonso, then Gasly. So, yeah, lots of things could happen. Verstappen a little bit further back. So hopefully he should put in a decent time. But if he, again, makes a mess up, he's going to struggle and be all the way down in either 9th or 10th. Bottas as well, only going for one lap attempt, not backing himself to beat any of these drivers. So he'll have one attempt. If it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, oh well, I think.
It really is all to lose right now here in qualifying for Max Verstappen. I mean, he has been fastest in almost every single session and now has not set a lap time in Q3. He really needs to pull a very clean lap time together. Otherwise, he will be starting down in 9th or 10th place.
Indeed, we do see Charles Leclerc running up here, starting his lap.
Across that start-finish line now, making his way down the straight. DRS wide open now into the braking zone. Neat and tidy, no lockups from him into turn 1. Now turning left into turn 2 and back right into turn 3. Nicely hitting that apex there. Everything now turned up to 100% for this last lap time. You really want to extract everything.
Oh my word, oh my word, oh my word, oh my word. Sorry.
Oh, big crash for
and that's going to completely stuff up Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen's going to have a huge issue now because Charles Leclerc has had a huge spin, massive spin, and he's gone into the wall. Luckily, not massive damage, but that's going to be a red flag in the session, which means Max Verstappen will only start in 9th.
Red flag. They have stopped the time, though, so cars will be able to get out. But it will be very, very, very close.
Charles Leclerc twice in the same sector, the same place, has gone into the wall. Again.
Charles really having a terrible weekend here, but that will certainly affect the Red Bull of Max Verstappen.
My word, talk about all the drama right at the end. Qualifying concluded. They've announced it will not continue, and Max Verstappen is not happy with life. And Perez is as happy as anything, finishing in 1st. But Max Verstappen all the way down to 9th. Oh
just
my word!
On the radio from Perez, just saying, well done to Sergio Perez. Max Verstappen will be absolutely livid in that Red Bull.
And another interesting point is at the same time, Max Verstappen, shocking, he's going to be absolutely livid as anything in 9th place there, ending qualifying. But Fernando Alonso will also start on the front of the grid alongside Perez in 2nd place. Alonso in 2nd, Perez in 1st. We'll have an Aston Martin at the front of the grid for Miami tomorrow. Max Verstappen notably all the way down in 9th. Just going through the grid, Perez, Alonso, Sainz, Magnussen, a Haas in the 2nd row of the grid. Unbelievable scenes here in Miami.
Gasly down in 5th, Russell in 6th, Leclerc 7th, Ocon 8th, Verstappen all the way down in 9th, and Bottas in 10th. Max on the radio just sounding super frustrated there. Unfortunately, they're not getting it done on his first run. That really puts you at risk for issues like this.
Yeah, we said that right as we did that. I said, hey, this is going to be a dangerous thing now, and it's proven true. My word, Verstappen. I'm sure it'll be fine still because it's Verstappen, but still has to really now work tomorrow. What a grid we have for tomorrow, as James says. What a grid.
Magnussen sounding overjoyed on the radio, just so happy to be up in fifth. Charles Leclerc being absolutely mobbed by fans on his moped at the moment.
Oh my word, let's just watch that replay again of Charles Leclerc losing it. He just takes the corner so tight, takes too much curb, I think, maybe, perhaps. And does indeed, and just loses
just
it
takes
completely.
way too much curb there. He is really, I think, desperate at this point just to find a bit more time to put him a bit further up the grid and just gets a bit greedy on that curb and just loses the car completely and hits the wall. That may be a new gearbox for the Ferrari, though. Another new gearbox. This is a brand new gearbox that they've got in the car right now, and he may have just destroyed it.
Yeah, I mean, really not great for Charles Leclerc to have gone and done that. But Carlos Sainz will, of course, be smiling. He doesn't have to go and put up with Max Verstappen near the front. And he only has to deal with Alonso right ahead of him, of course, Perez in front of that. So Max Verstappen got all the work to do tomorrow, but everybody else on the grid is smiling as anything.
Yes, absolutely. Will we see Verstappen and Red Bull just having a bit of a cheeky strategy tomorrow? Will they try and make it up with their strategy, or will they fight it out on track? Phil just saying Charles, I'm assuming he's trying to say smash, but yeah, unfortunately, Charles out in qualifying 3, really ruining the end of qualifying. That was looking as if it was going to be quite an exciting last 2 minutes.
Oh, my word, Max Verstappen not going to be very happy with life. Yeah, having a chat with Sergio Perez. Yeah, he's clearly quite livid. Old Max Verstappen there knows he's got lots of work to do tomorrow.
Yes, for sure. But I mean, we've seen how Max has been able to fight through traffic before. I'm sure he will be fine. It should make at least quite an exciting race tomorrow evening.
Indeed, very much quite a race that we have going for us. So let's just quickly recap the entire qualifying session. Shall we just recap quickly? Yeah, let's at least just recap qualifying 3. Started with all of the drivers making their way out onto the grid. Verstappen making a mess up right at the front and opted to go straight back into the pits whilst everybody else put some decent lap times in. Then they started their laps again. And what happened? Charles Leclerc into the wall, and as a result, Max Verstappen does not have a lap time. Neither does Bottas, of course, but that's not too important. We don't expect Bottas to be much happier, much higher up than that. But Max Verstappen down in 9th, Ocon in 8th, Leclerc still after that crash in 7th, Russell in 6th, Gasly in 5th, Magnussen and the Haas of 4th, Sainz in 3, Alonso of the Aston Martin in 2, Sergio Perez number 1 on the grid tomorrow.
Yes, and of course, big news from qualifying is that Hamilton did not make it out of Q2. He will be starting from, I think it was P9, wasn't it, Mark?
Sorry, whom?
Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton, we're starting all the way down in P13.
Yes, sorry, P13 is where Hamilton will be starting the race from tomorrow. That is absolutely dismal for the Mercedes. George Russell at least having a bit of a better time, finishing, I think, in 6th. Just hearing now from Carlos Sainz, just talking about his lap time. Just saying that it was getting very, very windy out there on track, which of course makes their lives very difficult. Also possibly a factor in Charles Leclerc's little accident there.
And just a couple of people appreciating the commentary. We also appreciate you guys for joining us, of course. Be sure to join us for the race tomorrow as well on the same channel. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on all notifications, and you guys can join us tomorrow for the Grand Prix, of course, which we will be there for. And yeah, my word, what a session.
Just a question here from Said saying, will Leclerc start from P7? If he does not have any major damage that needs parts being replaced, then he should start from P7. If he needs another new gearbox, that could be now going into a penalty.
Sure. What a Saturday evening.
Yes, certainly not what we were expecting. Also, once again, 3 different constructors for our top 3 starters tomorrow.
I'm struggling to think of who must be happiest in that top 10. I don't know if it's Alonso or if it's Magnussen or if it's Gasly. I don't know.
Yes, it's really unknown at this point. I mean, I think we're going to have a very exciting race on our hands tomorrow. Whether the shorter DRS zones are going to have too much of an effect, we will have to see if the FIA made a bit of a mess up with that or not.
Ah, my word. I'm just still trying to actually like come to terms with how that all unfolded. My word.
Yes, it was all a bit of chaos in the end, unfortunately.
As James says, it is very much Sergio Perez's race to lose tomorrow. So, yeah, we'll see what happens if Alonso gets a decent start on Perez tomorrow. That could make it interesting, of course, at least in terms of Perez having to do a little bit of fight. But, of course, we know those Aston Martins can't really compete as much with those Red Bulls as they might be able to, hopefully next season, maybe with a little bit more research, etc. But nonetheless, Fernando Alonso will be very happy to be able to fight right at the front of the grid. But it should be, as James says, Perez's race to lose.
Yes, but we did see what happened last time that Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso started on the front row. I'm pretty sure that was at Saudi Arabia. Fernando Alonso had a banging start and was able to get on the inside of Sergio Perez and start challenging him for first place. Will we get a repeat of that tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a good question. I just do think that Sergio Perez will be able to take him back if that should happen. That's the big thing. Alonso might not be able to defend against him for all that long, and I don't think he's going to try and defend against him. He knows he doesn't have the pace against them, and he's clever, Alonso, of course. He knows where his race is. He won't try and compete with those Red Bull cars. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Forever Sports and Forever Motorsports, of course, for the qualifying watch along here. Unbelievable scenes that we've seen. Reese, any final thoughts?
No, just happy to have a bit of a different P1, 2, and 3 here for qualifying today.
Yeah, 100%. Dion, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting race tomorrow. Very interested to see, obviously, what Verstappen can do from P9, but also very happy for Russell to be up in sync. I've got to make mention of that. Better than 8th. So, yeah, hopefully Russell can also put in a good performance, maybe even end up in 4th. Who knows?
Yeah, and of course, another thing interesting there is the fact that Hamilton didn't make it into Q3. So let's go right from the bottom to the top. Thank you, Phil, for subscribing. We appreciate it. I just want to go from the bottom to the top here. Logan Sargent, disaster class for him at his home Grand Prix, or at least his home country, in 20th. Oscar Piastri, 19. Stroll in the Aston Martin again, another big disaster in 18th. Tsunoda, 17. Norris in 16. De Vries in 15. Zhou, 14. Hamilton, 13. Hulkenberg, 12. Albon, 11. Bottas in 10th. Max Verstappen in 9th. Ocon in 8th. Leclerc in 7th. Russell in 6th. Gasly in 5th. Magnussen in 4th. Carlos Sainz in 3rd. And 2nd, Alonso. 1st, Perez. Guys, thank you so much for watching Forever Motorsports. And we will, of course, see you tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And until then, goodbye.